Hey there, I'm Mitch, and today we're continuing to work on Magnum the Doggie. So coming in with pencils now. Starting with the pencils, you get the base coats down. Drawing the eye. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw the pupil and get it in there nice, and then we're going to come back with a black pastel and darken it a bit more. But right now we want to get the placement of it right. So that's one of the challenges you have with making eyes, is you have to get it right. You can't have the eye look bad. Otherwise, the whole picture's ruined because everyone's face goes straight to the eye. And if it looks bad, then that's not going to be bueno at all. So I already did the left eye, and I think I pretty much got it to where I wanted it. So the process of getting Magnum's eye is you have the pupil, which is going to be completely black. And then you have the outside of the eye, which you see as a dark brown. And the problem with that is if you do the outside of the eye in black, it's going to look unnatural. It's going to look more like a teddy bear or look like he has a black eye or something. So what you want to do is you want to get that to be a dark brown. And you're going to come in afterwards with a black for a little bit of darkening and highlighting, but you want to be careful with that. So the inside of the eye on Magnum is like a light maroon mixed with all sorts of, different other colors. So I put a little bit of brown in there, a little bit of maroon in there, etc., etc. So now I'm going back in with the super pastel, as explained in other videos, and doing that. Those are Giro, and the Giro pastels are very nice. Love me some Giro pastels because they dump a lot of pigment. It's the most, to me, it's the most pigmented pastel I think that I've ever seen. So I really enjoy the Giro pastels. So now come back on the outside with some dark brown and then a little bit of that maroon. So the maroon and the brown give it that natural skin look that you see in the reference photo. And that's the problem with colors. A lot of times you just don't have the correct color. And that's one of the challenges once you get pencils, because for most major pastel brands, they will have a huge selection of great colors. So you have 1,500 to choose from, you have 1,000 to choose from. So when you need the exact color, then you can nail it with regular pastels. However, you get to these pencils, and the pencils only have 70 colors, 50 colors, etc. And it's difficult to get that slight hint that you need with pencils. And that's why you see a lot of pastelists that will use only soft pastels, nothing else. They'll never use a pencil. And they get the fine details by bumping up the size. So instead of having a small, 13 by 18 or 11 by 14 pastel, they'll bump it up and it'll be huge. It'll be 20 by 27 inches. And then it's so large that they can use soft pastels for little details now. But this one, however, is small, and I'm stuck with pencils. So that's what we do. We go with pencils and try to get it sort of like we need it, right? So again, coming back with pencils and making small hairs. Now you'll notice a problem. And the problem is that the hairs I'm drawing in are too detailed, too long. And you'll get that with some of these drawings / paintings with pastels. You'll get a short-haired dog, and to replicate exactly what you need, you'd have to draw 10 million little dots, because it's effectively what you have. Right? Look at the reference photo, you have 10 million little dots. And that takes forever. So instead, what you do is you draw hairs, and then you come back later with a sponge or some type of tool and rub it over the pastels to blur it out. So effectively you make too much detail and then come back and blur it out. And that will give you what you need. What you don't want to do is not have enough detail and then try to make that work. That's more challenging than having too much detail and then blurring it out. So that's effectively what we're doing here. We're coming in with some of these pastels, we're putting in too much detail and then rubbing it with our finger, coming back later, because if you look at what I've done so far, it looks like a teddy bear. It doesn't really look like a dog. And so you're losing the likeness in the process. And so what you need to do is long term, so you just sort of plan for long term, right? Too much detail, blur it out. So again, here we are apparently drawing a teddy bear. That's what it looks like. And that's a problem I have with the eyes in this particular drawing. I did not finish the eyes, because if you look at the eyes, you'll see that the bottom left of the eye is not done. And you'll see that it's not thick enough around the lower eye, as well as you'll see it's not dark enough around the upper eye. So you combine all of those, it looks like you bought a teddy bear and you glued an eye on it. Is what it looks like at the end of this session. So we fix that in the next session, but just a reminder that you really kind of need to go through the eye and make sure it's right before you leave that area, because that is your most important point. So here I'm coming in with a soft pastel, and again, I was stuck with a dilemma of I don't have the right colored pencil to make the muzzle, to make the nose. I just don't have the correct pencils. There's not enough variety in my 75 set of pencils. So we're coming in with soft pastels and getting more base coats within the base coat, right? So now we're coming in with these, it's sort of like a darker gray. And then we're just making sure that we get, a likeness here. And obviously you can see this is a little too light, but we're going to fix that by putting dots in the nose, which will darken it up some. So that's the main thing here. If you need an area that has dots in it, like the nose, to look real, you don't want to make it too dark. You want to make it a little bit, a shade lighter, and then you're going to come in with dots and darken it up with dots. So we'll do that in a few. For right now, let's get the upper nose, part of the upper muzzle there. I had a problem where the white area coming up was too far to the right, so I just sort of corrected that and then fixed my mistake by coming in with other pastels and drawing over it. So that's one of the things with velour you can't erase. And if you look at the side of the face, it's a little bit too large. And I eventually fixed this by making a background. And so even though you can't erase, you can fix your errors by putting in a background. And I have that in another video about fixing problems since you can't erase. If you really need to erase, you can use pastel matte paper instead of velour. But for the most part, velour, you can just go over it. So that's how it always works. So now we're just coming into the mouth area and sort of getting in a little more of the detail. Just turning the pencil at a 45-degree angle and then sort of making it work here. And that's one of the big things about drawing animals is you put it down, you put your color down, and then you want to evaluate it. So if you look at complete beginners, right? So people that have never done this type of thing before, you'll notice that they will go down a path and hope for the best. In other words, they'll choose their colors and it's the wrong color. And they'll put it down and they'll keep going. It's like the mindset, I gotta finish. I must finish. I need to finish. So they'll get the wrong color and they'll keep going. And if they had stopped and reevaluated everything, they would recognize that that's totally wrong. Or the eyes are totally out of place. And by the time that they finish, then they'll notice it the next day or whatever. And then they're all upset, and then they're mad at themselves and all that stuff. It's better to stop, take a break, come back. You know, are the eyes in the correct place? You know, sorta, maybe, no. Like right here, the eyes are the left eye is a little too high. So, but that is because the paper is tilted. So if you look at the paper lined up there, it's not perfectly up, straight up. It's tilted to the right, and so that the eyes are tilted a little up. So anyway, that's one of the things you have to evaluate as you go is, am I on the correct path? And that's why if you see me work, I'll do an hour one day, and that's the base coats. And then I'll come back and I'll look at it 3 times, right? I mean, it's sitting in the living room, so I'll look at it as I pass by. I'll be like, you know, that's not really the right color. And then I'll go make a slight correction, and then I'll look at it a couple more times, and I'll be, all right, that is more like what I wanted. And so that's what you kind of have to do. If you do it all in one sitting, you're going to make a huge mistake. It's going to be a huge mistake, and you're going to be angry. So it's best to do one sitting, get your base coats in, and relax. Just relax, take a break, let it sit there, pass by it a couple of times, make sure it looks okay, and then the next day you come in with the details. Because there's many times that I've done base coats, I look at it and it just doesn't look the way I want. And so then I'll go adjust it real quick, just adjust it. And then I'm happy. But if I hadn't done that, the whole picture would be crap. So that's one of the things you need to do. Relax, take a break, reevaluate what you're doing. Are you on the correct journey? Is your journey taking you in the right direction? If not, reevaluate what you're doing. So these are just dashes, hairs, dashes, dashes, dashes. Turn the pencil to 45 degree and push. I don't pull, I push. Nice and easy on the hands, easy on the wrist. If you're on computers all day, it's not stressful. It's not like colored pencil. Colored pencil, man. You do computers all day, you come home and do colored pencil, your hand hurts. It hurts. So here we go. And obviously, again, it looks like a teddy bear. The hairs are too long, but we'll fix that later. Ideally, let's say you had unlimited time. You have all the time in the world. You want to do 1 inch. You're willing to take 100 hours to do that 1 inch of space on the drawing. You do dots. You do nothing but dots. And I'm not willing to do that, so I just do dashes. And then I come back and blur it out. I think it still looks good. It takes 10 times less amount of time, so it looks nice. So again, looks like a teddy bear. We'll fix it next time. But for now, we're going to come back with the colored pencil and get our highlight area up there, which is what I was aiming for right here, is a nice highlight area with colored pencil. And next time we'll do the nose, the muzzle, we'll do the bottom, and then we'll start with the background and put the whole thing together and make a nice finished drawing that everybody's happy with. So until next time, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you at the conclusion video.